Darling, you send me. I know you send me. Darling, you.
Hello, today we're gonna talk about the colonization of Singapore. Singapore, also known as the Lion City, is located in Southeast Asia. The four main languages that are used to communicate are Malay, Tamil from India, Mandarin from China, and English, the official language. Hey, do you know who founded Singapore?
Oh, I know. It's Sanford Raffles. He was from England. Speaking of, the British Empire was one of the biggest empires that ever existed because at one point it was ruling 1/3 of the world. It had grown bigger steadily over the years with the help of trade, a strong army, and the motivation to spread Christianity.
I know you.
Unfortunately, the British also brought with them diseases as well as slavery.
The British Empire colonized a few countries like India and Singapore. But in this later case, the colonization was different. India, part of the British Empire, was colonized for its plantation, which led to the development of trade centers, and that was positive for the economy. This advantage helped the growth of nowadays megacities in terms of territory as well as population. However, segregation was present. The locals lived in Black Town and the settlers in White Town.
We can notice some similarities with the colonization of Indochina, which was also colonized for their plantations to satisfy the needs of the French population. For example, in Cambodia, the plantation of Avea, rubber, and opium. Other similarities are the segregation, the inequalities between the two populations, and the wars. Indochina's population was separated and considered inferior to the French, like in India, where Indians were beaten up if they did anything that displeased the British. Wars were fought in Indochina, like the French-Chinese War, as well as in India. Religion was one of the big reasons for the French to colonize Indochina, whereas the British did not really bother to spread Christianity in India, but they did not recognize under the law other religions.
Before stepping foot on Singapore's ground, Raffles took time to learn Malay and was interested in its culture, which was not common for settlers. Contrary to Stanford, the French, when colonizing Indochina, they completely changed its culture until it practically vanished. Afterwards, when Raffles landed in Singapore, it was still a fishing village with forests that covered the undeveloped land. This is also a difference between the colonialization thriving of Indochina. Indochina and India were already organized. Raffles saw the great potential in Singapore. It was strategically located at the southern tip of Malay Peninsula, the shortest route from China to Europe. Because of this strategic location, Singapore became a big trading center similar to India. However, this time in opposition to India, the trade benefited both parts because of the exchange of cheap goods from England and the colony's raw material.
Singapore in 1819 had 200 inhabitants, but in 1822 the number of people increased with more than 10,000 people living in Singapore. Also a similarity with the colonization in Indochina, in the little village of Phnom Penh, where it grew approximately from 400 to 12 to 15,000 inhabitants.
The last difference between Indochina and Singapore is that in Indochina, there was a conflict between the French and Chinese because the Chinese wanted to keep their influence on Indochina. In Singapore's case, the British had to sign a treaty with the Dutch to gain full power over Singapore.
La relation entre les deux populations n'était souvent pas très bonne. Le colonisateur avait souvent une vision d'infériorité vers les colonisés. Il se pensait supérieur aux autres et avait l'idée en tête de civiliser les colonisés. Le colonisateur colonise également pour des raisons égoïstes, donc tout va favoriser les besoins des colons.
Les colonisateurs peuvent penser de faire du bien aux colonisants, mais en réalité c'est l'inverse. Dans le cas du colonisé, il perd généralement sa culture, sa langue originale, à cause que les colons leur imposent la leur. Ils se font souvent maltraiter et les inégalités sont ainsi visibles. Le colonisé va donc complètement changer sa manière de vivre à cause de la colonisation.